Hallo, welkom hier so by Farmspace. Ek is hier by Nampo 2022, verdien julle gewonder het. Presisie Kunsmisstrooiers. Nou ja, is altyd interessant, maar ons het nou die ou van Nederland hier, al die pad, ek dink Nederland, Netherlands. Denmark, sorry, same place. It's there in the north. So ja, Denmark, dis daar waar hulle die Bogballe Kunsmisstrooiers maak. So kom ons luister 'n bietjie. Martin, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. And I'm out of Denmark, where the factory is located too, by the way.
No, awesome. Listen, yeah, just give me a quick rundown. Bogballe, the company itself. Give me a little bit of background.
Sure. I mean, the factory is located the same place as where it was originally, in the little town called Bogballe. That's the name of the town. It started there back in about 90 years ago.
Spell it the same way?
It's the same way. We just have an Ö that you don't have in your alphabet, but that's the only difference. And we started actually out in the chicken business. So it used to be called Bogballe Chicken Mother Factory. That was the original name for 90 years ago where it was founded. Because that was right after the First World War into the Second, and there was a shortage of food.
Yeah.
So there was some subsidiaries if you could do something to increase the food in Denmark. So that was the egg industry and the chicken. So the poultry was a start out.
That's interesting.
Then back in '52, we started with the first single spinner fertilizer spreader. And we went from creating things in wood into steel. So we actually have about 70 years of experience with the fertilizer spreader.
So not a lot then.
And that's the only thing we do right now, is that's our fertilizer spreader.
So basically, you focus on, listen, we make fertilizer spreaders and we're going to do that the best that we can.
Yeah, and that's what we are saying, and also what we are claiming, and all what we are proving is that that's the only thing we do, so we better do it right. What we are saying is that fertilizer is investment in the farmer's crop.
Yeah.
So the better you can get it distributed, right position on the field, that might help you, or that will help you increase your yield.
So also taking into account where fertilizer prices are going, I'm guessing that you're sitting, have you seen an uptake in precision fertilizer spreaders, the need for that?
Certainly.
Because of the prices?
Yes, we do. And that's our benefit, because that's also where we are, due to the fact that we are focused into the fertilizer spreader industry, is that we need to do it right. So we have been into this precision farming. Now when you're asking the question, that's no new to us. We actually had the option of doing application mapping for 30 years. We started out a development together with Dronningborg, the former combine factory in Denmark, where they could take a yield map out of the combine and put it into our fertilizer spreader. So we have actually been able to do application mapping for 30 years.
For 30 years already?
For 30 years, which is now booming 30 years after. So we are well prepared. And of course we have a lot of experience since we go 30 years back with application mapping. So precision farming is no new to us at all.
So let's get to the product itself, because okay, according to me, a fertilizer spreader, you've got stuff on the bottom that spreads it out, and you've got a bin and it falls on there, and then you spread it and Bob's your uncle.
It sounds so easy, but it isn't. But we made it easy. The way we do it is that we are distributing, it's a twin spinner fertilizer spreader. So as you say here, that we have the right hand side here spinner, and we have the left hand, and we have two vanes on each spinner disc. The way we do it, compared to many of our main competitors, is that we are having our two spinners running in center. That means they run in the same direction into the middle.
Yeah.
So when you go, this is the right hand side spinner, the left hand side spinner, then you're covering this area with the right hand spinner, and the same area with the left hand spinner. So that means with limited number of settings, you can see here you only have 4 positions for your vane settings. And in most cases, most spread charts, it says that the one vane is in position 1 and the other is in position 2. And the same thing on the left side spinner disc. These principles and the way of operating the spreader, setting the spreader, is all the same, no matter if you are working on the little L15 or the biggest M60. And here in South Africa, Valtrac has a well-experienced staff knowing all about the spreaders here. So they're selling the little L15 here, hydraulic operated. That means you have a certain speed, you keep the speed, and then you have the settings, position 1 and 2, and you put your scale here to, let's say, 4, and then you go at 10 kilometers an hour, and you're applying exact what you're supposed to be applying, kilo per hectare.
I'm with you.
And you are ensuring with this spread pattern here that you have the 4-time overlap. Because if you turn it around, you can see this is your tram line where you go down here, and you spread actually from position 1 out to tram line number 2 here, or 3, sorry. So this is your center go back, so you can see you have a 4-time overlap. So that means you're actually applying fertilizer 4 times 25%, which is making your distribution very even.
Yeah, you've got a very even distribution with that.
Yeah, and you don't need to, like I say, you don't need to change your drop point. It's basically only setting your veins accordingly to the spread chart. That's it. Then you're off to go. Like I say, this one is the simple version. You can also have an orchard kit, so you can do your vineyards or whatever you might be looking for to apply fertilizer to.
Yeah.
So that's hydraulic operated. And then we move into the high spec that Valtrac is very keen on selling, and is also, for the time being, very interesting due to, like you say previously, the high cost for the fertilizer. So on this spreader here, the M35W, the W you see here is indicating that it's delivered with a weight cell.
Yeah.
So here you have the full optimization. That means you basically just hook up the tractor to the 3-point hitch, plug in your 9-pin breakaway connector here to the isobus, and then in the screen the implement will appear and it will save a profile, the Bogballe profile.
And end of story, and there you go.
Basically, yes, because what you have here is you have a load cell here underneath the 3-point hitch. So your chassis is actually flying, and it's just being connected through these 2 steel plates, and then you have 2 connector brackets down here. You can see in here, you see it down here. That's actually how these 2 are connected. So the load cell is feeling the weight underneath here.
Yep.
So that means when you go and spread fertilizer, every time that you have applied 25 kilos of fertilizer, it will make a recalculation. At this width, at this rate setting, and I've gone that many meters, I was supposed to be applying 200 kilo per hectare. I was only 195. I better open up the shuttle a little more and go another 25. So it's a full optimization that you have in there. And that comes from the L20. So the one you saw there was the L15. That's the smallest model, starting at 500 liter, goes up to 1,600 liter. There's a bigger one called the L20. That's also optional with the load cell. And that's also a very common machine
And
here
now,
in South Africa.
how big can I get that one up until? How many liters?
Valtrac has sold the M60, the biggest one, has a capacity of 5,550 liter. The work width goes on the M line from 12 meters up to 42 meters, depending on the fertilizer, of course, because the characteristic and the physics of the fertilizer is very important when it comes to the cross distribution, if you want to get it right.
Definitely.
So it's all, I mean, you can see, it's all the principles are the same. It's the same thing with the M60 W spreader that is coming into to Valtrac soon on the next container. It's just a question about the dimension of the 3-point hitch and the main frame. That's the only difference. So you have 2 load cells, but all the principles are the same. The load cell is the same. The isobus
basically works the same thing.
There's
There's something else I wanted to ask you, is that you You said that you've got a specific paint process.
Yes.
Now, why would paint be so important?
It's because if you mix fertilizer and moist, you get a very, very corrosive environment, which is rough on the steel. So it is very crucial for us that we get all the sharp edges right, because if you have a sharp edge like this one, you can't get the paint to stick on a sharp edge. So you need to grind all the surfaces to get them more round. Otherwise, you can't get it to stick here.
And how do you paint it? Do you basically dip it in the paint, or is it sprayed, or what?
It's powder coated.
Yeah.
But it's not really. Yeah. The most important thing when it comes to paint job is actually all the job you do before the paint, because everybody can buy a paint shop and add some paint there. The challenge is all the preparation before it comes into the paint shop. That's where you make the difference. So that means all these steel plates you see here, they actually been washed 9 times with various kinds of
9 times.
Yeah, 9 times liquids that is being washed. Before all that, you of course are grinding. You can even feel the holes here, which is unique, because here you would, on many other implements, you would see that the paint will start to split here, and then you will see the rust coming very easily to the steel.
And specifically on fertilizer. Yes. I want to ask you, what the hell is this? Why? I'm still understanding, I'm looking now, what is this? So
that's just a sealing in between.
Yeah.
So you don't have steel against steel. So that's just, you can see it on the outside here.
So this thing goes around, so it's...
And that's a modularity that is also one of our strong things. I mean, when Valtrac is placing an order, they basically just buy the bottom of the spreader.
Yeah.
And then they can build it bigger, and they can
as high as they would want to. So they just put
if you want
stages.
Exactly, and if you want like a cover like you see on the M35, you can also buy that for the little one here. The orchard kit you buy, so you actually start out with a basic machine, and then you're just putting on the check marks to what you would like to have on the spreader.
So you haven't looked at trailed ones yet?
No.
Why is that the reason?
Because we are so focused into the 3-point hitched fertilizer spreader. All our development, the production is...
So you really decided you are building one product and one product only?
Yeah. We do have a little trail, a little bucket that you could put underneath the spreaders, but it's not an replacement for the trail one. And also with a big capacity spreader we have, like the M60, you'll see coming in shortly to Valtrac. That's actually that has a high capacity, and it's also the benefit with the. It might not be a big thing here in South Africa, but in many other countries you can start out earlier because the soil is not as how should I say it, sensitive to weight. I mean, if you come with a tractor and a 3-point hitch, you can put less fertilizer in it. Yeah. If you have a trailed one, you have lots of weight in that, and going out in a wet field, it's only making up a mess. So to get rid of that, we say no, we'll stay with the 3-point hitch, and then we'll just make it bigger. So we have the biggest 3-point hitch. That's the M60W, which basically looked like you see there, just higher, and then a bigger.
Listen, Martin, it's been really, really interesting, and finding out. I never thought that I would be able to. I just want to ask you one other thing quickly. So I'm just seeing my eye just caught this. You've got a water pass here, dumpy level thing.
Yes, it's because we say that on all our spread charts, you have to keep in mind that back home in Denmark we have a test hole, and you can also see it on our YouTube channel, where we're demonstrating how are we ensuring that the farmers' fertilizer is being distributed right. The only way is to test it. So we have more than 45,000 full-scale tests made back in Denmark, and that requires about 7 tons of fertilizer. So we are filling up the spreader with fertilizer, and we are checking the settings. How do we set it right to get the optimized spread pattern? And that has to do also with the tilt angle. So we say the L15 has always to be in level. It could be on an M35, M45.
It's the same thing.
Basically the same thing.
And
but
so
if
what
you come here on
happens-
the other side, you'll see the whole secret is, we'll say, let's say 24 meters, 200 kilo a hectare, roughly around 12 kilometers an hour. We'll say it'll probably be in position 2. Then you'll move this one in position 2, and you see it's out of level. Then what you do is you shorten your top link to get this one back to level. And then you'll have a slightly tilt on the spreader, so you get it exactly right. So it's just a tilt angle
so
you
that's
actually
the
control.
settings.
Yeah, it's a part of the setting.
That's very,
It
very
is.
cool. So,
And then what we also have inside the spreader,
but you're basically, so you're telling so that when you tilt it like this, it's basically pushing the fertilizer into the ground. When you're tilting it up, it's basically giving you more of a spread.
yeah, exactly, yeah, it is. And the way they all supply it is that since they are both operating the same way, you can actually see it over here on this little demonstration module here. That's also where we have a paint sample. So you can see all these numbers here is basically the same as you'll see on an Isobus if that was the case. Now it's set for 10 kilometers an hour, 200 kilo on a hectare. And you see once you click start button here, both shutters will open. So you see you actually have 2 shutters opening at the same time, which doesn't change the drop point. And that is really beneficial when it comes to the settings. And then if you increase the speed or the rate setting, you'll see how they're just opening and closing at the same time. And that's your uniqueness for the Bogballe.
So that's how you pronounce it, Bogballe.
Yeah, Bogballe, yeah. The 2 other actuators, that's also becoming more and more famous because that's where you do the section control. So if you have a wedge on your right hand side,
Yeah.
you want to lower the rate on that side and you want to keep it on your left hand side. That's what these 2 actuators are doing. So they're moving an additional shutter underneath here. So that's how that's being done. So that's also an extra option. But all the spreaders are delivered from us with the agitator inside, which I think we can see on the L15.
I saw that. Now I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. If I could just...
It's got that agitator there.
Yeah, it has the
inside
agitator.
there. Okay, let's see.
And then you have, on top you have a cone. So all this is made the same way, no matter if it's M60 again or whatever it is. And the thing about the agitator is it's only moving in between 10 to 60 RPM a minute.
Yeah.
So it's very gentle to the fertilizer, avoiding that we grind it and we creating a bridge building down so you can't get it out to the fertilizer. So all these things are also the same thing.
You can when you look at everything, you can see that there's 70 years worth of innovation
It certainly is.
that went into this. So you are basically spending your nights awake thinking about how can I spread fertilizer better.
24/7, 365. That's how it is at us. We're very focused and keen on getting the best spreading out in the farmers' fields. That's what's important for us.
Awesome, Martin. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Right, so
Just to show you the sample here, that
sê wil my nog 'n sampel wys hierso. Die verf. Kom ons wys julle net die verf. Vir die wat nie die verf ding gesien het nie.
you can see this sample.
Just show them there.
You can see here how you can bend without the paint peeling off.
Ja, daar is die verf moet wees. Hulle het 'n verskriklike rowwe verf metode ding. Dit is baie cool. Flexible verf. So al wat hulle doen is hulle fokus op kunsmisstrooiers. As jy wil gefokusde kunsmisstrooier solution hê, kom draai jy by Valtrac by Bogballe en kom praat met hulle. Ek gaan dit maar Bogballe noem. Kan nie reg uitspreek nie. Dis hier van Farmspace af. Tot volgende keer. Groete.